welcome to another edition of the SiGMA podcast, where today we're going to have two friends, because there's no other way to describe Adrian and Mark. Mark is a person actually who I've known since my very early days when I was much shorter. We can say we grew up together, same schools, and Adrian got to know recently, but great mind in the gaming world, and I thought it would be a good sense to have Adrian and Mark, who currently run a business together, in order to discuss a bit the gaming sector in Malta, the rest of the world, and where it's going. So, first question is, how did it come about that you two came together to form your company, Excitable Gaming?
I feel it's a nice story, actually, and thanks for having us, Trevor.
It's a pleasure.
Yeah, if you want to, I can start from my side part. Actually, I mean, me and Mark know now each other for, I think it's for around 4 years now, or 5 years. We're actually second cousins.
Yes.
Yes,
So we discovered
quite late. Just to say that at best. Yeah, I mean, we were working on this company. We met each other. I was always trying to build something on my own for quite a few years. And then there was Mike. This one fine morning, he came into this office. He was, I think, he was a bit angry about something.
Yeah, I can just imagine. I know what that look is. I've seen it.
Look, we're doing this work. We know how to do it. Let's start something of our own in the gaming industry. And I was like, yeah, sure, why not? And he was like, oh, okay. And there we have it. I mean, for 4 years down the line.
So it's been 4 years now?
Yes.
Yes, I think a little bit longer, really. But yeah, let's say 4 years, 4 years and a half.
I mean, what I can say is I actually think Mark has aged over these 4 years, because you look at him, he's with the glasses, he's now arranged his hair nice. Or
yeah, more sophisticated.
Yeah. And Adrian looks younger every day, which is a bit worrying, because it was the other way around before.
I always try to get Mike up and running with me, but he doesn't want to know.
Mark, from your end, what led you to going into the office that morning and telling Adrian?
Yes, look, I've been going through a lot of thoughts during that period, and I said, look, I mean, I believe I have a particular skill set. Adrian has a particular skill set. Both can be married together to create something positive in the industry, and pretty much that was it. Had a brief discussion, because it was a really brief discussion with Adrian, and we set out the company and we started, really.
If I may, because it's pretty unique to find two Maltese individuals to discuss, invest, set up, and run the show the way you two have done. It's a very uncommon story in our industry. I think it's a story which needs to be told, and the story which needs to be lauded and congratulated, because you had the courage, for want of not mentioning an anatomical part of the male body, but you had the courage to take this plunge. Was it just recklessness, or did you plan properly in order to do this? Again, as two Maltese without actual any foreign intervention.
Well,
Adrian, Mark, you guys decide.
Please,
the question.
It is in fact like that. I can take the first part of this question, because in reality, at that time, 4 years ago, I had my kids already. So they were still young, 2 years and 1 year, really. And I was working in a very comfort zone, as in I was a developer. I've been a developer for 12 years, and I was okay. I was comfortable, but always trying to figure out something else, what we can do. And the actual fact that I had to risk it all, because of course you have to put in some investment, since we didn't have any foreign investment, as you correctly said. We had to invest money from our own. And I said, okay, this is a tough step to take. It was hard to take. And But in the end of the day, you have to risk it. We did risk it. Myself, I had about my financial situations during that period. I did risk it, but it turned out that the trust we had, at least I had in Mark, and Mark obviously had in me about our abilities, it turned out to be quite a successful story.
Mark?
Yes, I mean it's a very similar line of thought with Adrian, but I must add that I don't see it as a risk simply because I mean there is a financial risk, of course.
Yeah,
That's always the case. But when you really believe in what you can do, I don't see it really as a big risk because pretty much it was a haphazard decision to go to market. We planned it well. We knew where we wanted to go. We had not planned for a year. We planned 4 or 5 years, literally. And the day we formed the company, we started a particular vertical, knowing that we wanted to end up where we are today. And pretty much that's what we did.
So you tell
it out.
you tell me, Mike. So you are,
where we really wanted to.
but have you arrived at your final destination, or is this one of the checkpoints which you and Adrian envisaged as part of your journey? As in, have you arrived where you always wanted to arrive, or do you still want to do more?
Of course, there's always more you can do and you have to do. But from a business perspective, we started operating in a particular sector. Now we are moving towards the B2B side of the business. To do that, we needed to build up our own system, which took a number of years. But today it's done and it's there in the market, getting the first clients on board. So yes, I mean, we arrived in the sense that the final goal, the El Dorado on our mind, was reached with the platform. But of course, from now onwards, it's a matter of keep upgrading what you are offering, and of course, never close any doors, any opportunity.
Understood. And if I may, so how big is the company? How many people? I know you have quite a number of Maltese working for you, based out of Mosta. So it's a Maltese operation run from a typical Maltese town. How come you took this approach? Because I was speaking to someone who knows you guys, Clemence from my affiliates, and she said, I'm always rooting for those two because it's something Maltese. And this is why I'm taking this angle. She said, because they really do it in a unique manner. And she meant it in a very positive way. But how do you tackle the industry from your own perspective? How do you tackle building up your team? How do you tackle up selling your product?
If I can add to this, I mean, I send my regards here to Clemens, very good friend of ours. We still have a very good business relationship with them as well. I believe that one of the main things that maybe can give us even the advantage over others is the fact perhaps we have both worked in the iGaming industry for quite some time. We have experiences from various sectors of the industry. I've been an affiliate myself before, a developer. Mark has been also CRM, marketing, traffic, and etc. So we have this holistic view over the entire gaming industry, and we were also hands-on on these particular aspects of the industry. We know exactly what's missing, what's needed. What, for example, if there's a B2C operator, what does he want on a daily basis to make it work easier on a day-to-day basis and even on long term? What does he want? And we know exactly what that B2C operator wants. We build a relationship with them, and eventually we start building and anticipating maybe even features or workflow that we would like to have on a daily basis.
So Mark, if I may, do you go down into building really strong relationships with your clients? Do you believe that is the foundation for developing not just the company but also the product itself?
That is always the case, because of course, without proper communication, without proper understanding what the clients really need to successfully operate, to successfully push forward their operational idea, because everyone has different ideas on how to operate. We try to take all the suggestions that really make sense in terms of tech development. Of course, it is realistic, because sometimes things are not realistic. Sometimes
And if not realistic, how do you explain it to them? You're very upfront?
we try. We don't say no. We try to find another way to reach
A compromise.
So exactly. So instead of going right, we try to go left. But ultimately, the goal is always to arrive at the common destination. I must add that personally, my biggest experience, to be fair, is not even in gaming. I'm coming from the airline and packaged holidays marketing sphere. And working in that sector, which is highly ultra competitive, especially the UK, really makes you realize that without technology, you can't really compete. So we've put that in the center of all our efforts. Without proper technology,
so tech first. Tech first.
Always.
If I may then, how easy or difficult is it to find people on the island in order to develop your tech over here? Or do you take a role, to outsourcing?
Well, yes, and you're right there. I mean, it's quite hard to find hiring in Malta, especially for a certain level of development stack. Since we're talking technically, it's hard. It's hard, and to actually get one who is currently, let's say, the poaching aspect of things. If you actually try to convince someone to join your team, it is hard, and it might get super expensive, because nowadays in Malta is quite a tech island right now with some operators and B2C and B2B operators all over.
So there's a huge demand, but there isn't enough resources.
And there isn't enough resources, correct. So we have to put our targets outside offshore, outside from Malta. There's a lot of talent out there, even outsourcing companies. They can offer you technology and resources on pay-per-use kind of thing, if that's even a thing. So you allocate resources, and they keep you active with their resources when a replacement is due. So we had to unfortunately refer to these situations, because of course Malta is limited.
Mark, anything from your end? It's clear. I mean, I don't want to be going into any political issues over here and talking politics. In the near future, we're actually going to be hosting a podcast with the Minister for Economy and Gaming, Minister Silvio Schembri, where, amongst many things, we will discuss the issue which arose in the infringement proceedings opened against Malta, excessive deficit procedure, where the skills gap was specifically mentioned as an issue which Malta needs to tackle. Do you see such a skills gap, Mark, without wanting to go into any political merits over here?
Well, to be fair, in tech per se, so in development, I think we have one of the finest workforce resources available in the entire industry. I mean,
but do we have enough people?
For sure. Probably not. But I think that with proper planning, proper skills gap analysis, and diverting education and efforts towards filling those gaps, I think we can easily achieve the desired workforce that one would need to further develop the product and take it really to another level, because it's not just developing something. it's developing something which is really good.
Okay. We have, but we don't have much time left. It's 20 minutes and they've almost flown by. I don't know if there are any last issues you wanted to raise from your end before closing of this podcast. Mark, Adrian?
There's one main issue.
Tell me.
Probably this has been mentioned for a number of times, even from Maltese owners of Maltese companies in the iGaming industry. It's unfortunate that Maltese, like me and Mark, having our own companies in Malta, have to pay higher
taxation.
It's going to open up a big Pandora's box, but I mean, that is something that, of course, gets us.
With your permission, I will ask this to the minister directly.
Yes,
I do not set out economic or fiscal policy on this island.
Ultimately, this gets us as a handicap, let's call it that way, against the international companies that open their company here in Malta. Pay 5, we pay 35, and there you have it. You have like I don't know, maybe a salary or two there.
Yeah.
In tax.
Thank you. Thanks. Mark, thank you so much. Now you have something you want to raise something.
No.
Michael, what to raise it?
I always know I'm quite a controversial guy. No, really and truly, for once, I'm not gonna complain as such about the ecosystem. I go back to the skills gap in the talent. I think we are very close to achieve as a country optimal status to grow even the gaming industry in our islands. But of course, there are always some minor things that we need to adjust, like the tax, for instance, which is completely unfair on local entrepreneurs. For people like us, even younger than us, that have their idea, but they can't go to market because they are eaten up by taxes simply because they are Maltese. So they have to do it outside of their own borders, which is happening a lot nowadays. So it would be a pity for the islands to lose such new startups, such new ideas, just because there is this form of discrimination in terms of taxation. Rather than that, I think we are quite supported in general from the ecosystem. And I see things growing for us, but really for everyone.
Thank you so much, guys. Appreciate your presence on the podcast. Good luck with the future plans for Excitable Gaming. And once again, thank you. And I thank all of you who follow the SiGMA podcast. I urge you, if you haven't pushed that subscribe button, push it, to press it, and to subscribe so that you're kept well up to date with all the developments going on in SiGMA.world. Thank you so much, and I'll be with you again in the coming days. Thanks again.